What is up, guys? Randomonium here. No, there is not something wrong with your YouTube feed. No, you did not go into a coma for the past 2 weeks. No, you didn't fall asleep. There's nothing wrong. I actually am putting out a second video 2 consecutive days. I know this is probably something that's unprecedented for me, but this is something I'm going to try to do more often. I've been trying to listen to your guys' feedback, and the feedback that I've been getting from you guys is that you want me to put out more videos, and that you don't really care if it's just kind of off the cuff, me just giving my thoughts. You just want me to put out more content because you like my thought process and you like what I say. So I'm gonna keep putting out my really high quality videos that are super edited and super like in depth. I'm gonna still do those videos, but I'm gonna try and sprinkle in some more videos that are just kind of my thoughts on a particular topic when like a new champion comes out or a rework or a new patch, things like that. So that way I can hopefully appease you guys a little bit more, because I know that my videos take really long to come out, and I apologize for that, but I kind of become a perfectionist with a lot of my videos, which is why they take so long. So anyway, if you like these kind of commentaries like the Warwick one or this video, please let me know. I'll keep putting them out. If you hate them, if you dislike them, please let me know why, and I'll try to either improve them or I just will stop doing them. So either way, positive or negative feedback is always good feedback. Just let me know what you guys want, and I'll definitely take your thoughts into consideration. But today we're going to talk about Aatrox. Aatrox, the champion, was revealed. I love the cinematic that they revealed. I love this new splash art. We're going to go through his kit. We're going to go through his actual numbers as posted on the PBE on Surrender at 20, which is a great PBE resource if you don't know about it. And I'm going to try to go in more in depth than some other people. I know these type of videos are super popular in the YouTube community. I'm not trying to clickbait you guys. I'm actually going to try and go into in-depth on all of his abilities, all of his numbers, really discuss how I feel like he's going to fit into the meta, both for solo queue and competitive, and hopefully you guys get something out of this video as opposed to, you know, kind of other videos that are just kind of more clickbaity and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if you do. If you don't, also let me know, because that's also very helpful. So we're going to go through all of his abilities. I'm going to turn down my volume so I don't get any echo. So let's go through his passive. First of all, we'll full screen this. And basically his passive is that every so often his attacks deal bonus maximum health physical damage, if I remember correctly, and also marks them with grievous wounds. And it also reduces the shielding that's on them. So yeah. Increased range, percent of the target's maximum health, reduces healing and shielding, and the cooldown is reduced whenever he casts a spell or he lands to the edge of the Darkened Blade on the champion, which is his Q. So let's go into his Q, which is his bread and butter ability. So the first one, and now we get the second one and the third one. And I know what everybody's saying right now. It's Riven 2.0. It's Riven 2.0. How can you not say it's Riven 2.0? Blah, 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 blah. It's Riven 2.0. And that's what I've been hearing pretty much all over the forums. Every single person saying it's Riven 2.0. And yeah, it kind of looks like that on the surface. You know, it's a 3-hit Q. That's exactly what Riven got. The big difference, though, is that it's longer ranged. And really, what you want to be getting with this is you want to be hitting on the edge. And if you look at where the edge is on all of the 3 Qs, except for the last one, they are way out of auto attack range if you look at them. There's no way that Aatrox has that range. So that looks like it's like at least 300, 400 range away. So the real core of Riven's kit is animation canceling and weaving in auto attacks between each of her abilities. Aatrox is not going to have that with this Q. You're going to be wanting to hit it with the very edge. It's acting more like a Camille W rather than a Riven Q. So I would think of it more of it's like a 3-hit Camille W rather than a Riven Q. So for that reasons, I think that you could say there's some similarities between Aatrox and Riven, but Aatrox is going to be less mechanically intensive. He's not going to have the animation canceling. He's not going to have the auto attack weaving that Riven does. Based off of just how it looks like he's going to play, he's probably going to be more DPS oriented as opposed to more burst oriented, which is what Riven is. So yeah, I know that on the surface it seems like this is Riven 2.0. I disagree, though. I think that this actually will be a completely different champion. He will not fill the same niche as Riven does. So let's go into his W. So his W, this is the ability that I'm worried is going to break him. So he sent out this skill shot and a line, and basically the skill shot, the first target it hits, it kind of marks them, it slows them, and if they don't exit this massive AoE within a certain time period, it pulls them back to the center. And the reason why I'm concerned that this is going to break Aatrox is because it pulls them back to a known location every single time. It will always pull them back to the center. That's what I'm getting from this ability watching it, is that it always pulls them back to that circular area, no matter what. And what this basically means is that in coordinated play, whether it be Clash or LCS, or any other professional scene, or even like the college scene or something like that, you know exactly where it's going to pull the target back to. So if you hit with this ability, you are guaranteed to land any follow-up CC on that champion. So Morgana Q, Thresh Q, Blitzcrank Q, any stun, any knockup, any skill shot, any AoE crowd control ability, you can be pretty much guaranteed to hit it if you hit with the Aatrox W. And that's what worries me, is that if you have coordinated play, if you have voice comms, this makes Aatrox extremely powerful in catching out enemies. So I am extremely worried that this ability alone will break Aatrox for competitive play, including potentially like Clash and the academy scene and the college scene and things like that. All right, on to his E. So his E is 2 dashes, so he can dash over walls with that. They didn't really address whether he can dash over walls with his third Q. I'll have to check that out once I actually get a chance to play him. So that's the active portion of the Q, is the double dash, and the passive portion of the Q is that he can he heals a portion of all damage he deals. So it's not just auto attacks. It's not like the 3-hit passive anymore. Every single ability. So you see he's healing with his Q, healing with his Q, healing with his Q. So every single ability heals him a percent of the damage it deals. So it's basically like a death stance, but it's also on his passive. So I'm assuming the death stance and this passive will stack, which will give him massive amounts of healings. You can combine it with Ravenous Hunter, which gives him even more healing. So yeah, he's going to be healing for a lot of health, especially if you build him more Glass Cannon. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether it's going to be more advantageous to build him Glass Cannon, like a lot of traditional skirmishers, or whether you're going to want to put in some tank items, make him a little bit tankier, like a diver. I don't think he's going to be a diver because he doesn't really have that engage potential like a diver does, but he could be played more like a tanky skirmisher like a Jax, or he could be played more Glass Cannon like a Riven potentially. All right, and then finally his ultimate. So his ultimate causes him to grow in size. He gets noticeably larger. He gains bonus movement speed. That movement speed also he gains that as long as he's out of combat. And then if he dies while he's in his ultimate, then he revives. So kind of basically pulling the passive from his old kit into the ultimate of his new kit. I think this is a really good change for Aatrox, because one of the biggest problems with Aatrox was his early game was incredibly weak. And the reason why his early game was incredibly weak is most of that power was put into his passive. Having that revive mechanic available to him at level 1 meant that most of his power budget had to go into that revive mechanic, otherwise he would be way too strong as a duelist in the early levels. By putting the revive mechanic on his ultimate at level 6 and tying it to a longer cooldown ability, this means that they can put more power into his Q and his other abilities in the earlier levels, meaning that he can actually be a stronger duelist in earlier levels while still having that revive mechanic later into the game. So ultimately, I think that this is actually a really good change. Overall, his kit seems really, really fun. Seems really, really interesting. That said, I'm worried that it's going to be broken, especially for competitive. If his damage numbers are good, then he will definitely be broken in competitive with his W. And I'm worried that he will potentially turn into another Azir, where in order to make him balanced for competitive, they're going to have to nerf him considerably for solo queue. But we'll see. Let's take a look at his numbers and we'll kind of go from there. So this is Surrender at 20, if you guys don't know. Really great website. Definitely check it out. Great for seeing stats on the PBE. So his base stats are all pretty good. They kind of seem very similar to a lot of Juggernauts. So, yeah. I think he's going to be more of a skirmisher, but his Juggernaut, his stats indicate more like a Juggernaut, so I guess we'll see how he plays. Passive gains 50 range, deals 8 to 16% of the target's maximum health as physical damage. That is a lot of damage. That is an insane amount of damage. 16% the target's maximum health. I guess one positive thing is that it's physical damage as opposed to true damage. So it is reduced, the amount of damage is reduced by armor. But then it also has the Mutilator passive, so it reduces healing and shielding by 40%, so grievous wounds basically for both healing and shielding. And the cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds when he casts a spell or he hits a champion with the Blade of the Darkened Sword. So it looks like the cooldown is 25 seconds normally for the passive. So then 2 seconds when he casts his Q, an additional 2 seconds if he lands with a blade. So that's a potential for 4 seconds per Q. He can cast Q 3 times, so that's 12 seconds. Then he gains 2 dashes, which is another 4 seconds, so we're up to 16 seconds. And then his W, which is 18 seconds. So you can reduce the cooldown to 7 seconds by using all of your abilities. So you basically proc it, use all of your abilities, and it's a 5-second cooldown, assuming you don't even use your ultimate. So you definitely can proc this twice, which is 32% of the target's maximum health with 2 auto attacks, not including all the damage he deals from all of his abilities or the actual base damage from his auto attacks. So holy crap, this guy is going to hit very, very hard. And we haven't even, we've only talked about his passive so far. But actually, the fact that he does max health damage on his passive means that you could potentially play him more tanky and he'll still be very viable. For his Q, he slams down his greatsword, deals damage 15 to 75, scales with 64 to 80% of his total AD. And it can be cast 2 additional times. So 80% of his total AD, that's really good, especially considering that his base AD is very high, if I remember correctly. His base AD is 60, the AD per level is 5, that's some of the highest in the game. So yeah, he's going to do a lot of damage, even without damage items. He's going to do very well. If you hit with the blade, it knocks up enemies and deals more damage. It deals 55% to 100% based on level damage to minions, so it's not as good for wave clear early on. It deals an additional 20% of your attack damage to monsters and doubles the knock-up duration to monsters, so it makes him more viable as a jungler. And the Q damage increases by 25% per cast, so it goes up to 150% damage on the third cast. And each Q that hits with a blade deals 50% more damage more than usual. So 50% of 150 is another 75. So that's 225% damage on the third Q that scales with 80% of his total AD. So 200% of 80% is 160, and then you're adding more. You can start to see how this math is adding up. Like it seems like it's an absurd amount of damage. It seems like Aatrox scales very well with AD. He's going to be able to deal a massive amount of damage. It kind of reminds me of like the old Mordekaiser Q. It looks like, yeah, it's going to hit like a truck if you get hit with the blade. So that's going to be kind of a lot of the skill with Aatrox is hitting with the blade. But yeah, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage for somebody. His W, the ability I think is going to be broken for competitive, 18 to 14 second cooldown, smashes the ground, physical damage, slows them for 1.5 seconds. They have 1.5 seconds to leave, so they're slowed for the entire duration that they're trying to leave before they're dragged back to the center and damaged again, and it deals double damage to minions. So kind of the two things that could potentially keep this ability balanced would be the fact that it could be shorter ranged. I'm not sure what the range is on the ability, just based off of, it doesn't say on Surrender at 20, and it's kind of hard to estimate the ranges. And then the other fact is that it can be blocked by minions, so that's going to make it harder to land. But I still think that for team fighting, especially late game, if you're fighting around Drake or Baron, this ability is going to be so strong. It's going to be incredibly strong, especially when combined with other people on voice comms. It's just going to be really, really powerful. All right, his E. Let's scroll down. And it looks like the recharge, there's two charges. Recharge time is 20 to 12 seconds. There's a cooldown, so you can't use it like rapid fire. So you can't like use like a Renekton E to gain a double dash. But yeah, so it goes from 3 seconds to 1 second cooldown as far as like being able to spam it out. And then he gains, passively he gains up to 15 to 20% of the physical damage he deals as health. So yeah, that's automatically a Death Stance passive right there, and it goes up higher, so when combined with Death Stance and Ravenous Hunter, he's healing for over 40% of the damage he deals. Very powerful in my mind, especially if you build him more Glass Cannon, or if you combine it with Spirit Visage or something like that. He's gonna be healing a ton of damage. And then it looks like he also gains AD when he dashes, so he gains up to 55 AD when he dashes, and that's nothing to slouch at. That's a lot of AD. The real question is going to be, how long does that AD last? Because if it lasts long enough that he can get both dashes off, that's 110 AD that he gains for doing the double dash. So that's nothing to slouch at all. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how strong he is there. So let's finally go down to his R, his ultimate. So for his ultimate, 160 to 120 second cooldown, he reveals his true form for the next 12 seconds. That's a really long time. Fears nearby minions, increases bonus movement speed for 1 second, and also while he's not in combat, so you can activate it to be able to gain a burst of movement speed to dodge skill shots. You can also use it as an engage tool, where as long as you're not in combat, you still gain the bonus movement speed. Movement speed is pretty damn strong, 120 to 240 bonus movement speed. He gains 30 AD for the entire duration, so 30 AD for 12 seconds. That's a lot of stats. And then he revives if he takes fatal damage. And how much health he revives with is based off of how long he's been charging his ultimate. So you thought that Tryndamere was annoying with his 6 seconds of being unable to die. Well, now Aatrox can go 12 seconds without dying. So you combine that with a GA, you combine that with a Zillion ultimate. Yeah, he's gonna get really, really annoying if he gets fed. So overall, I love the kit. I think Aatrox this is definitely gonna put him back on the map. I am extremely worried that he's gonna be way too powerful, way too strong with this kit. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'm very excited to play him. I am extremely worried that he is going to come out broken as all hell, then that they're going to have to nerf him immediately afterwards, and that he's going to be very hard to balance for competitive play, and they're going to wind up having to nerf him, and that's going to make him unplayable in solo queue. But if you like this content, if you want me to do more of it, please let me know. Give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you feel is appropriate. I really appreciate comments, both positive and negative, whether or not you like that, because it allows me to change my videos if there's issues. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope you guys play Aatrox if you've got a PPE account. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to put out more videos in the future. Have a good night, guys. This is Randomonium signing off.